Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked where I climb the online Series 7 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. We're jumping right into today's episode. I am still using the Cinderace Swampert team from the last episode. In the last episode, actually, we pretty much exclusively went with Zapdos and Clefairy, so hoping to bring Cinderace Swampert a bunch out today. So thanks as always for watching. If you're interested in this team, rental is in the description below, and let's get started. Thanks as always for watching. Man, Swampert Cinderace is not bad here. It's not bad. Heatran actually kind of walls the Cinderace because the Cinderace does not have a fighting type attack. Tapu Koko is what scares me. Oof, this one's tricky. All of my Pokemon are decent. I'm also contemplating Clef Zapdos again because Helping Hand Close Combat just one-shots Porygon too, which is huge. I really want to go with Swampert Cinderace, and it feels like a decent matchup for it. There are two concerns here. One's Intimidate, two is Tapu Koko. I'm going to try it out, though. I want Torkoal in the back. I think Torkoal looks good here, and it's probably Rillaboom for terrain control, but it feels really odd not bringing Zapdos into this matchup. It's probably... I think if I wanted to play it safer, Zapdos is probably the way to go, but I think Cinderace could put in a lot of work here if I play properly with Tid, so let's explore it. Yeah, question of the day. I want to know what Pokemon you're interested in seeing on Road to Ranked featured next. I will definitely look through comments, see what you all have to say. And yeah, thank you as always for watching. If you enjoy, please show support by leaving a like. I'd really appreciate it. Alright, Cinderace plus Swampert into Porygon 2 plus Tapu Koko. I mean, the question here is, do you Dynamax Tapu Koko? It's pretty... like... Dynamaxing is pretty risky when you're up against a Swampert. The play I want to go for, honestly, is Flip Turn onto Cinderace, Max, and just, like, G-Max Fireball the Porygon 2. Making the read that Tapu Koko Volt switches. Okay, so they don't Dynamax that, at least. That's good. Because the Dynamax Koko, if you're a Life Orb, like Max Lightning into Cinderace, is super bad, right? That does so much damage to us. But I feel like it's so risky to Dynamax the Tapu Koko when you're going up against a Swampert. If you haven't seen this team before and you don't know what the Swampert does, then, like, you have to respect Swampert maxing and just one-shotting you with the Max Quake. Especially if it's, like, Physical Pert with their EQ. Okay, so we get that off. That's good. Yeah, so the thing is that I really don't want Trick Room to go up, so I'm just trying my best to deny it immediately here. So I can bring in Torkoal, which should allow me to one-shot the Porygon 2 in this position. The question is, how fast is your Tapu Koko? Because if you're modest, I think Cinderace outspeeds. Ooh, we outspeed. That's really, really important. So this should one-shot Porygon. Okay, beautiful. So that's one of the upsides of this duo. You can pull off stuff like that. Volt Switch into Cinderace. Ooh, it's slow and it's Reflect. Okay. I don't mind that. Because now we know you're not offensive, which means this next turn, that slot is open to just a KO. Because you're definitely not Dynamaxing Tapu Koko. And they bring out Rillaboom. That is not what you really want to bring out against the Cinderace, I feel like, so I'll take it. No more Electric Terrain, which means I also have Yawn. You could obviously go for Fake Out here. Kind of have to be honest. Now, I expect Heatran to be in the back. I think that's what we should predict as the fourth Pokemon. So the question is, do I have a safe play here like covers for Heatran? I don't have Knuckle, unfortunately, so that's a slight downside, but honestly, Torkoal's not in a bad position right now. And I have Yawn, too. I honestly think if you switch in Rillaboom, it might be a bait to make me think you're going out into Heatran. So I'm down to Yawn until a Rillaboom slot and go for a Fireball into Tapu Koko. Nice. Is that Heatran? Perfect. Alright, alright. Because otherwise, like, it just doesn't make any sense to switch in Rillaboom there, I feel like. Unless you're going for a bait. It's not Sash Koko either, so it's probably Screens. Yeah, this is exactly what Cinderace can do. Because against the right teams, like, it can just one-shot so many things. And I think if I went with Clef plus the, Zapdos here, my opponent could have just gone Reflect turn 1 because you outspeed the Zapdos and then Trick Room, and then Heatran under Trick Room looks really hard to go up against. So this is exactly what the Cinderace combination can do. It's just you have to bring it out in the right position, and it's often tough for that to happen. This game still isn't over, though. Let's just play it safe. I think if we just protect here and one-shot Rillaboom, there's no way my opponent can win, because then I can yawn Heatran the next turn. Yeah, Heatran maxes here, too. Okay. The one thing I was worried about was Subtran. If you're a substitute, and, yeah, then you can keep subbing up, which is kind of annoying. I actually have to keep in mind that I don't have great damage against Heatran, right? Cinderace can barely touch it, so it's down to Swampert and Torkoal. But if Heatran's already committed the Dynamax here, I can just go for a yawn later on. Oh, they have Protect on Rillaboom, though. Hold on. That actually does make this a little bit more interesting, because it means unless I one-shot it in Sun through Protect, there's a slight chance. Like, it's +2 in Sun, max attack, 160 power. Oh, that was so close. Alright, close enough. Yeah, it's Max Quake presumably into Torkoal. Oh, it actually goes into Cinderace. Okay, so I could have won the game with a yawn there. Wow, even with this start, like, Heatran may be a big enough threat to, like, pull off a comeback here. Hold on. Oh, wait. I yawned last turn. What am I saying? I forgot that I already got the yawn off. I was so focused, I was like, what does this Heatran do, that I actually had a brain fart there. That's funny. You guys are probably watching and yelling at me, like, what are you talking about, you yawn? But I totally forgot Torkoal even accomplished anything last turn. That's my B. I'm just going to body press the Rillaboom and protect. That's the safest play, right? Yeah. Although it's not like Cinderace really does anything into Heatran right now. But all I need to do is chip away at the Heatran. Oh, I also have high horsepower Rillaboom in the back, so we should be good. So, this is what I meant. It was like maybe a little bit risky to lead Swampert plus Cinderace, especially because my opponent's Tapu Koko, if it was offensive, could have been really, really scary. Rillaboom survives that? Ooh. I guess I should have Burning Jealousy then. I didn't think it would survive that. Yeah, I should have Burning Jealousy just to force the 4v1. That's okay. I'm just going to protect here and Iron Head. Actually, no, why not just... No, I don't need to conserve Cinderace, do I? You're never going to Fire-type attack into it. But, yeah, there's no point in conserving Cinderace, I think. I think it's fine to just protect here and Iron Head into Rillaboom. I honestly thought Body Press would KO Rillaboom, though. I did not think that would survive. Ah, they go for their own Protect. Interesting. Okay. Well, I'm protecting Torkoal here just because I don't want to take a Max Quake, but I definitely misplayed this game slightly. Like, I did not need to go for... I should have just Burning Jealousy last turn to guarantee the KO into Rillaboom, and then it's a 4v1. And then at that point, it should be game over. Especially with Heatran still Dynamaxed and asleep. And they stay asleep for another turn, so that should be the game. But I kind of blundered this late game for, like, how good the first two turns were. It's inexcusable to even potentially lose. Now... I think even if the Heatran woke up... I mean, I think we were still in a fine position, but I think Burning Jealousy would have been better. I just didn't want to give it the Flash Fire boost. But this ends up making the endgame slightly weirder. I'm just going to Burning Jealousy now and go for an Iron Head. Because we have Rillaboom plus the Swampert in the back, I have two ways to hit Heatran for super effective damage. Plus I have Hydro Cannon too. Now, Heatran does have that special defense boost from Max Quake. But... Rillaboom goes for the double, which is the correct play to go for, actually. Because I think if you want to have a shot at winning this, yeah, you have to go for that. They don't get it. Heatran stays asleep as well, so we got the maximum rolls on sleep, and yeah, and they didn't get a double protect, which is fortunate. But the reason I went for Burning Jealousy there was because Rillaboom, I think, gliding into Cinderace was definitely a possibility. So this endgame looked a little bit weird, where... It's not the cleanest, but I had some room to work with. It's actually always safe to yawn into Heatran and bounce. Yeah. Bounce just covers the option of you targeting the Cinderace slot. I haven't revealed... actually, at this point, I've revealed all of my attacks, so you should know I don't have Knuckle. There's the Wake Up, and they go for Heat Wave. Nice. So, that should seal us the game. But this was, like, the last 5 minutes felt like... I should have just, like, played it a little bit better. Burning Jealousy initially to just KO Rillaboom would have been better. I shouldn't have assumed Body Press would KO there. I thought it was a fair assumption because Rillaboom was only at, like, what? 25%? So good to know that it can survive that. I thought it was just super safe. And if it does pick up the KO, then I think that's the right play. But I don't think Heatran getting a Flash Fire boost is really that scary, because like it doesn't really matter against a Swampert and a Torkoal. Especially because Torkoal still has the Citrus Berry. So, yeah. But this is an example of how Cinderace Swampert can overwhelm the opponent on turn 1 if you basically lead a little passively. And Screen's Tapu Koko, by the way, has definitely seen a major spike in usage. Like, this is not the first time I played against it in the last week. Maybe I'll make a video about meta trends recently, but like it felt like Urshifu Now Ego Thundurus was like the big thing flying around last week, and this week I've seen Iron Defense, Body Press Bronzong, plus the Screens Tapu Koko a lot more. Okay, and they just Earth Power into Cinderace, actually. Interesting. But I think this game was honestly over on turn 2. Oh, Reflect was up. That's why Body Press didn't KO. Right. It's so easy to forget stuff like that. Yeah, I definitely should... So I wasn't wrong in my assumption to think like regular Body Press would have KO'd, but obviously Reflect was up, so... It's just important to double check the board state. In this game, it didn't really end up mattering because I was so far ahead, but, Had my opponent gotten the double protect and woken up with Heatran, honestly, I think we still win. I just don't think my opponent can really do enough damage. And I still have Rillaboom and Swampert in the back, and we have high horsepower and AB on the Rillaboom. And Body Press does so much in the Heatran, so... Yeah. The only play I actually would have done differently in this game was to go for Burning Jealousy instead of Body Press on a Rillaboom. Everything else, I think I would have actually played out the same way. But this is exactly what Cinderace can do. So, glad to finally feature this combo. I really, really wanted to yesterday, and we just didn't get a single game in with it, and I was super sad about that. Yeah, I've been also trying to practice more with this team, because I feel like I was not using either mode properly. Like, it's important to know when to bring out... Yeah, it is Light Clay. Timid, but not max speed. Life Orb, Citrus Rotom, Shuka Heatran, no surprise there. How fast was the Heatran? 120 speed, okay. P2. It was probably Trick Rooming turn 1, because I think if my opponent gets screens and Trick Room up, Heatran destroys me under Trick Room. And it looked like they were basically playing towards setting up Heatran completely, so I'm very glad we were able to just knock out Porygon 2 the way we did turn 1. And that's one of the really nice things about this setup, but... yeah, one thing I would say if you're trying out this team is it's good to know your Cinderace calcs as well, especially like +1 fireballs, because like Intimidates will come out pretty frequently. We're just going up against Hard Trick Room here for the next game. Now, I actually think Hard Trick Room is a really bad matchup for us with this team. It's not ideal, that's for sure. So my opponent has a bunch of leads. If they want to just guarantee Trick Room up, they can go Dusclops Indeedee or Dusclops Hatterene, or Dusclops Stakataka, any combination of that. Yeah. I think, like, yeah, if you want to beat Hard Trick Room like this, having Imprison is really valuable right now, but there aren't that many great Imprison users that can stop the Trick Room. What do I want to do here? Because, like, I can't really get away with Swampert Cinderace if you go Indeedee. But if you go Indeedee, you're pretty much guaranteed Trick Room. That's bad. It probably involves getting Rillaboom in safely. Like, I think Rillaboom, Torkoal, Clef need to all come out, and probably Cinderace. So perhaps it's just Cinderace, Torkoal, Lee to push out a lot of damage immediately with Rillaboom and Clef in the back. I think Yawn Torkoal is basically going to be the one saving grace right now. I still think this matchup is really shaky, so yeah, I think Hard Trick Room... And Hard Trick Room is really common, right? Like, it's not... Like, if you're playing on the ladder, you're going to run into it for sure. The question is just basically how dedicated it is to getting up Trick Room. This team is basically 100% Trick Room. Sometimes you'll see, like, Torkoal Venusaur thrown onto something like this. You know, very similar to Series 5, where you have a Trick Room mode, but also a Sun mode, which is really fast. So, in this matchup, it's just very, very dedicated to Trick Room. And I don't like the matchup, so we'll see how we can play our way out of it. But it's going to be tough. Okay. Glastrier Dusclops. Well, that's actually really good for our Sun duo here. Man, if I actually went Swampert Cinderace, I would have crushed this super hard, right? But Swampert Cinderace was never going to work unless my opponent led this specifically. Like, any other combination... Literally any other combination, and it wouldn't work. But I think the upside is at least Glastrier should protect turn 1. Right? There's no way you don't protect in front of this. There's some merit to maybe Dynamaxing Cinderace and Steel Spiking, so then I can go G-Max Fire the next turn. Unless G-Max Fireball into Burning Jealousy just KOs Dusclops out right here. I don't think it does, though. Like, Dusclops is so bulky. Let's try it. I don't know if it will, but we cover both ends. I mean, if it were Eruption, it would be a wrap. Well, Burning Jealousy doesn't really do much damage, so I don't think it'll be enough. But if it is, my opponent's in really bad shape. I just can't believe they led this. Like, I feel like with Hard Trick Room, it's just so much safer to lead Indeedee plus one of your Trick Room users. But, yeah. Are they just attacking with Glastrier? Because if so, props to them. That's an insanely good play. It's super risky. So maybe I should have just been like, you know what, I'm just going to try to KO your Glastrier turn 1. Because I may proc a policy here too, right, with Burning Jealousy. I mean, I'm likely going to proc a policy, unless they max guard it, but it doesn't make sense to max guard. Wow, that is a really aggressive play. Well done. I don't think we KO Dusclops here. Ah, that's so bad. That is so bad. Yeah, and it's policy. We just lose on turn 1. I thought like this would be decently safe because I was like, there's no way Glastrier just attacks here, but they just went for it. They were like YOLO. So that was super aggressive, but it paid off. Actually, maybe it's not over yet because I do bring in the Clef now. I didn't think Fireball and Burning Jealousy would KO, but I wanted to see what the role would be there. So good to learn that. Yeah, you get Trick Room up now. It's doomed. Maybe it's better to just double up on a Glastrier turn 1. Maybe that's the play. I mean, I can go on into Clef at least and go Redirection and Fireball into the Glastrier. But the thing is, with Trick Room up, like, to be honest, I have to either deny... Like, even if I KO'd Glastrier there... I'm going to follow me here. Even if I had KO'd Glastrier, what would have happened? I probably need to double up onto a KO, right? Actually, maybe G-Max Fireball and some KOs. I mean, that's actually literally the strongest attack. If it doesn't, then nothing will. No, that probably would. Especially with Burning Jealousy, either way. But the thing is, like, Glastrier so easily could just switch out our max guard there. But now that I know that we don't KO Dusclops, then the play I made on turn 1's never really worth it. Oh, and they max guard. Interesting. Okay. I guess that makes sense. I mean, they burn a turn of their own Trick Room, but the problem is I just don't have enough damage output for this late game, I think. They Pain Split it, yeah. Not having a Dusclops... Like, I'm shocked they led this, but it worked out really well for them. That being said, it's still, like, not the most consistently... Because I feel like if they just led Indeedee Dusclops, I have no counterplay to you. It beats everything I could bring. The one question here is whether there's merit to going for Protect. Do you have Steel Spike? You have Quake. No. I doubt you have Steel Spike. Hailstorm into the Clef is the safest play for them right now. So I could make a play of... I'm already behind in this game, so I think I'm just going to go for... I'm just going to go Protect Fireball here. Yeah. That's really, really impressive play, turn 1. They Nightshade. Let's see if they doubled up there. Okay, they did a Hailstorm, but I don't think we KO'd the Glastrier now without Sun being up. Let's see. Alright. We survived that with the Clef at least, which is good, but kind of need the KO here. Actually, can Rillaboom Cinderace pull this back if I stall out Trick Room? There's a possibility. Yeah, it's not a KO on the Glastrier. Ugh, yikes. Okay, well, the play here is to protect Cinderace, sack the Clefairy, get the free switch into Rillaboom so I can Grassy Glide into Glastrier, fire Pyro into Dusclops. I shouldn't have expected Burning Jealousy to KO. I mean, this Torkoal doesn't really have special attack investment, so that was just a bad play on my end, turn 1. But for those of you trying out this team, it's good to know that calc. Because, yeah, if I went Swampert Cinderace, it would have been a turn 1 flip turn into Torkoal, one-shot Dusclops, and then we kind of just win off there, so... But that's, like, results-based analysis, right? Like, just because it works for this game doesn't mean it would always work. And if my opponent leads Indeedee Hat or Indeedee Dusclops, like, Swampert, Cinderace is not very good. So I think I actually had a decent lead matchup. I just had a better turn 1 play that I did not make. I'll Protect and, I guess, Dazzle for... Nah, Dazzle doesn't make sense. Well, there's no better play, actually. Yeah. Because then at least I bring out Rillaboom, and then I can Pyro Ball, Glide. This might still be winnable. The problem is that I think Indeedee is going to be waiting in the back as well as Stakataka, but Rillaboom and Cinderace actually do a ton of damage, so I'm not giving up yet. Okay, they're going to Nightshade the Clef, that's fine. Because the upside is I think there's one more turn of Trick Room here, right? So with one more turn of Trick Room, I go Glide. Is there one more turn of Trick Room? I think, but I don't remember off the top of my head. Yeah. So what I can do is Glide into Glastrier, Pyro Ball into Dusclops, and then pick up a double KO next turn. Actually, if you have Indeedee, you just switch Dusclops into Indeedee right now. And I feel like there's no way you don't bring Indeedee into this matchup. So, that's like a guaranteed win for my opponent if they make that play. I'm just going to Pyro Ball here and Glide. I can't even Protect here, so there's no other play to make. But if you have Indeedee, you just go Dusclops into Indeedee. I guess you could miss Ice Skull Crash. Yeah, they switch. I just can't believe that turn 1. That's like a crazy, crazy good read. It makes sense too, right? Because for me, like the onus is on me to try to KO out the Dusclops so that they don't get Trick Room up. Just never thought I'd see a day where Cinderace Torkoal is up in that kind of matchup, and I actually could have gone for the double Protect there. Nah, I don't think we. I mean, like this game was kind of over after turn 1, to be honest. So yeah. If I were to replay it, like, sure, I could Burning... I just think, like, it's so risky for my opponent to attack turn 1. I don't think they need to. Honestly, I think if you just actually Protect Glastrier or Max Guard it and set up Trick Room, it's like a free win. So maybe I needed to capitalize off that, and... Well, maybe they thought, actually, I would KO the Dusclops. Actually, that makes sense. If you don't know my Torkoal set, like, if you think I'm a Rupturan, that makes a lot of sense, because then you're like, okay, why didn't I say Heatran? We played Heatran in the last game. Yeah, what I was going to say here is then it makes sense because then it's like my opponent's covering for the option of me going for a KO onto Dusclops, and then they still get a Max Quake off against Torkoal, and then they can bring on Indeedee. So, it makes sense. It's not like... But the thing is, if I just target the Glastrier turn 1, my opponent's... I guess maybe still not in terrible shape because they have Hatterene and Indeedee in the back, but... Great read on their end. Like, props to them. And I think often you're in a position to make that read turn 1. I just didn't think my opponent needed to, but I guess risk versus reward-wise, it's like it's really risky, but if it doesn't work out, you're still not, like, it's still maybe winnable with Hatterene and Indeedee in the back, and if you call it correctly, you kind of just win. Because it's really tough for me to feel confident going for an attack onto the Glastrier slot there, right? Because if Glastrier protects, I just activate a policy for them, and then next turn they can just max. So props to them. That was a tough matchup, and my opponent made a really, really good turn 1 play. And, you know, no shame. Well done on their end there. They have Dragapult here. I really want to go Swampert Cinderace, but they have a Gastrodon, which means they can redirect those flip turns away. Yeah, I guess Gastrodon kind of invalidates Cinderace here. Or I should say Swampert, actually. I feel like Zapdos is probably the play here. Rotom-H matches up pretty well into this team, doesn't it? Especially when you have Gastrodon support. Okay, if I go with this, what do I go with? I don't know, I kind of want to still try out Swampert Cinderace. Like, if you don't lead Rotom-H, there's little... The risk versus reward for Cinderace is just... It's so high, but it could be so good here. What's safer? Zapdos, Clef, Torkoal, Rillaboom, probably? Zapdos, Clef, Torkoal, Rillaboom. Yeah, maybe that's better here. I think that's better. As much as I want to go with Cinderace Swampert, I don't know. Last game, it actually would have probably just won us the game on turn 1. But that's the thing, you know, if you're using hard Trick Room, like, my opponent may be just hard red into my soul as well, beyond just the turn 1 play, in terms of the lead matchups as well. Because one of the downsides of using hard Trick Room, of course, is if you play passively, your opponent doesn't knock you out, and then you're waiting, basically, for a free switch in into your sweeper. So, by leading the sweeper, you can just put on pressure immediately. It's Rotom-Moltres. How do I feel about this? It's not terrible, but not great either, I guess, is my take. Like, I want a Dynamax. Man, weird spot to be in for sure. Moltres is a big offensive... Both of these are pretty big offensive threats, actually, right? Cinderace could have been okay here, but without Max Knuckle, it doesn't do that much. The thing is, I think Moltres Dynamaxes an Airstream, so I can't help but think I need to go for Follow Me. Okay, I'm down to Airstream Moltres and Follow Me here. Because then, I can Helping Hand Airstream the next turn for maybe a KO. That's assuming Moltres maxes, by the way. Maybe Moltres just Nasty Plots. The problem is that both of these Pokemon can Nasty Plot right now. I think that's very scary, but... My opponent has two things that hit Zapdos for super effective damage. I mean, Swampert Cinderace could have been good here, but then I think like if Rotom just switches into Gastrodon, I don't get the flip turn off, it's really bad. So I didn't think it would be worth it there. I guess I could have read into it though and gone like, I don't know, Icy Wind? Okay, they do Dynamax. See what it is. I don't know, Rotom Heat actually matches up super well here, right? Like, what do I have to beat Rotom Heat? Okay, they Dynamax Moltres, which is honestly what I want to see, because like that means Rotom will be easier to deal with, because I can Knuckle it. Like, Helping Hand Knuckle probably does 50% to it, and then I get another attack boost, and then maybe another 1 KOs, even if you're Citrused. But turn 1, I think I have to Follow Me. If you just Airstream Thunderbolt, maybe that's a KO. I don't know. I'm also curious how much base 140 Airstream does into Moltres here. It's good damage. Oh, I don't know if Helping Hand allows me to pick up the KO next turn, though. Maybe I should have Knuckled this turn and then Helping Hand Airstream next turn. I don't know. The Cobra Berry that we have here is helpful. Okay, Clef takes that really well, actually. Nicely done. So that's good. It's still just like, how do I deal with this Rotom? Does it Nasty Claw here too? Oh, that's not good. That is not good. How much do we take from that Airstream? 88 damage? It's literally a 50-50 roll, basically. Oh, that's so bad. Rotom dunks on what I have in the back. I feel like there's just not much for Rotom here. What do I do? Rotom's just, like, both of these are such a problem. These are really the two best Pokemon I bring out, so my opponent played Team Preview correctly. Well done. I'm going for Helping Hand Airstream. It looks close on Moltres. Like, I don't know if it's enough for a KO. But I think it's a start. If we don't... Oh, well done. That was a really good play. One in which I can't really even punish that heavily, unfortunately. Like, the only way I could have gotten around that was Helping Hand Knuckle into Rotom, but I feel like Galarian Moltres Rotom Heat's like a nightmare matchup. Especially with Gastrodon in the back. If Gastrodon weren't in the back, at least I could do some stuff with Cinderace and Swampert, but with that in the back, I don't have the safe flip turn strats. Great Max Guard, though. Wow. Like, if I had Helping Hand Knuckle into Rotom last turn, we'd actually be in a really good position. I don't see any way we can win this, honestly, after that turn 1. That was such a good Max Guard. That was a really, really good Max Guard. Like, that was... Because I spent all that effort to attack into nothing. Well played. Yeah, I mean, the first match, I think, like, had a different lead. Moltres hangs on, too. I think Rotom Heat's a big problem for this team, because it's hard to deny it a Nasty Plot. Rotom Heat plus Gastrodon's a really cool combo. One that goes all the way back to, like, VGC 2013. It's one that's pretty good here, too. Okay. So they KO. I mean, this game is pretty much over. I think, like, this lead was really, really tough. And... yeah, the lead was tough right from the start, and my opponent executed it perfectly, too. The problem is that I can't just Knuckle into Rotom either, because, like, You can get Airstream boosts. I mean, maybe the play would have been to... What would the play have been to? Helping Hand Knuckle turn 1, even if you outspeed me, the next turn can follow me. I needed to Knuckle on turn 2. That's pretty much it. I guess I could go Swampert Cinderace. Like, one upside of Swampert Cinderace always is that it's just kind of a surprise that no one sees coming. Yeah, it's a surprise that no one sees coming, and that pays off huge. Rotom-H just beats both of these right now, so I'm just going to forfeit. This is an example of, like, just good execution. My opponent identified that Moltres Rotom would just be everything that I could have. And this is an example of how, like, sometimes in Team Preview, there is actually no way to really win. You just have to, like, find something that gives you some outs. Unfortunately, Zapdos Clefairy was not it for this one. I think if I were to replay this, I would try to just, like, go with the element of surprise with Swampert Cinderace and then go from there. But the Gastrodon in the back was super scary, and I think if I led Swampert Cinderace, they just swapped the Moltres out into Gastrodon turn 1 most likely. And so that's... Don't really know what I can do around that. Like, Rotom plus Gastrodon's not a very common core, but it was very good against us here. And so that's, like, the advantage of using stuff that's maybe a little bit off-meta. You can catch people off guard. And that's not even super off-meta, it's just a really good core that, like, a lot of people are probably going to neglect in team building. Another Trick Room team. This is with Sun this time around, though. Indeedee and Slowbro or Indeedee Stakataka is their guaranteed way of setting up Trick Room. You know what? I think I'm just going to go Cinderace Swampert. YOLO. It would have worked for us in that first. I mean, like I said, that's not the best analysis, but I actually don't know what the better duo here is. Because it's not like anything else really beats the Galarian Slowbro. So I'm going to go Swampert, Cinderace, Torkoal, and Clef, I think. Actually, no, it should be Rillaboom just for glide damage and a Glastrier. Yeah, I think these, like, very hard dedicated Trick Room teams is just not the best matchup for this team, unfortunately. So let's see. Alright, let's see what we got. It is just Slowbro Indeedee. Okay. I mean, here... This is what I call kind of a YOLO play. Psychic Seed as well, where, like, I just have to hope they don't follow me. And I am just going to Steel Spike this thing and flip turn. Yeah. I'm trying to think, like, the matches today felt so matchup based. Like, all the games felt like it was over on turn 1. Which is both a good and a bad thing. It's a good thing when you're on the winning side of it, like that first game, but it's a bad thing when you're on the losing side of it, right? I'm hoping to bait them into just clicking Expanding Force here. Yeah, they just want to follow me. But I get a defense boost. I should KO the Indeedee. So maybe it's actually still doable even if you get Trick Room up because I have Torkoal in the back. Yeah. And with Torkoal, I can Yawn, which is actually a really big deal. Plus, I actually give Torkoal a defense boost. Maybe this is what I should have just done in the first game, actually. That's probably the best answer against Trick Room, because the Torkoal with defense... Oh, I didn't even think about that. That's actually the strategy in Game 3. Or, sorry, Game 2. I should have thought about that. Okay. Yeah, I think that's actually the play. Give Torkoal a bunch of defense boosts so it's hard to KO, and then spread Yawn pressure. Because... Torkoal, oh, okay, that wouldn't have worked super well in that game, though, because my opponent had Hatterene, and Indeedee, Hatterene kind of just destroys, right? That's pretty bad. Okay, so Trick goes up. I would think you bring out Glastrier, but this is interesting now, because I set up the Sun. Stakataka. Interesting. Air Balloon. Air Balloon Stakataka, huh. Well, I have a defense boost, so your Rockfall won't KO me. Like, I think it's to... Yawn? I want to Fireball into Slowbro and Yawn into Stakataka. Because I think Stakataka maxes here, right? But I'm going to survive a Rockfall, especially with that boost. Air Balloon's not really that much of a problem, so... I don't know. In game 2, I think that's an example where it's like I just accept the matchup is really bad, and I probably just have to YOLO it on turn 1. Granted, I also didn't know that Burning Jealousy calc, so I'm glad to know that now, that the double up does not KO Dusclops. I didn't think it would, but I wanted to just see what it was like. If we had Heat Wave or Eruption, though, like, I think even if Glastrier gets the policy off, we're still maybe not in terrible shape, but yeah. Actually, I wonder how much Body Press would have done here, because we know it's not a Weakness Policy Stakataka either, but I think Yawn is fine, because then I can just switch out double Protect next turn. Oh, they go for Knuckle. That's interesting. I don't know if I agree with that play, to be honest. But I'll take it. I think that's great for us, because we should get a KO. Wait, they just activated Policy, too. So we KO the Slowbro, and we put Stakataka to sleep after this next turn. So that actually worked pretty well. And they're just Expanding Force, okay. It's a lot of damage, but I think it's fine, because I can just KO Slowbro here, get the Yawn off against Stakataka, and then just switch out Torkoal next turn. I also could have just gone Body Press, Fireball into Stakataka, but I don't think that's worth it. I think Yawn is just better if I know that's going to Dynamax, and I was fairly confident with Max. Okay. So Weakness Policy Cinderace does pretty well here. Crit just to add insult to injury. Okay. So Stakataka now is going to fall asleep. I bet Glastrier is the last one if I had to guess. That's Glastrier? Yeah. 3 more turns of Trick Room. I have a defense boost on both of these. Stakataka is falling asleep after this turn. I have Swampert and Rillaboom in the back. I'm Fire type right now. I can change into Normal type. Like, I don't mind Max Guard and... Ooh, yeah, Max Guard switch into Rillaboom? I think. Because with that, then I can just Fake Out next turn. Yeah, I could Fake Out the Glastrier and Pyro Ball it. And if you Protect, then I can just Protect again the next turn, and then Trick Room is over, right? Yeah, I think that's pretty safe. Okay, let's see. Okay, we're gonna Max Guard. You can't set up Misty or Electric Terrain with Stakataka, I don't think, unless you're running something crazy. But I don't even know if it gets access to any moves for either of those. Okay, they're gonna go for a Knuckle. Console Torkoal slot, nicely done. Did they double up into that slot? A double up would be a really good play here. But they didn't. Okay, yeah, I feel like it's way too risky to not target Cinderace here, because Cinderace is just such a big offensive threat. So now my question is, what item are you on the Glastrier? Now, either way, I think my play here is to Fake Out Pyro Ball. Yeah, I think Glastrier probably... If you have Protect, you obviously go for it, but there's a chance that it's Assault Vest. Or Weakness Policy. Policy is a lot more likely, right? Yeah, I'm just gonna Fake Out Pyro Ball here. Because like I said, even if it protects, then the next turn I just protect Cinderace, and then Trick Room's about to end, right? Swampert can just Earth Power to KO Stakataka outside of Trick Room. Nice Knuckles, though, to give attack boosts, but I'm glad to see Knuckle, because having Torkoal for this late game is really good. Like, it's really, really valuable in this matchup. So, they need to have Protect right now, or hope for a Pyro Ball miss, but... Nice, no Protect, okay. This was a bit different of a Trick Room matchup, though, because Hatterene was a really big threat, I think, in the previous one. Pyro Ball, okay, change type, doesn't connect. Nice. And that should just be a one-hit KO. Alright, honestly, I saw Trick Room and I was like, it's doomed, but this goes to show that you can win even against, like, somewhat bad matchups. Torkoal's really important for the Trick Room matchup, so the way I lost it in Game 1, or Game 2, was just really bad for us, because it was pretty much impossible to come back after that. But now we have 4 things against one. I could Protect here, but I don't even think there's much point. Can just double up onto this thing. Even if it wakes up, Swampert Earth Powered, it's going to finish it off, so, yeah. Single Yawn makes all the difference when you're going up against Trick Room stuff. So that is basically what you need to play towards. And in Game 2, I just didn't expect that lead. I totally got caught off guard, and I got wrecked by my opponent, and they just made a brilliant turn 1 play, so props to them. Okay, Stakataka wakes up, gets the Rock Slide off. It's probably a double KO. Oh, actually survives. Nice. Good job, Rillaboom. But we can bring out Swampert and click Earth Power here to finish things off. So, yeah, I guess the upside in this one was that there's no... Like, my opponent didn't have offense on the field immediately, and Torkoal was in a pretty good spot. Now, My opponent could have actually just doubled up onto Torkoal to win this one. If they just went Rockfall, Expanding Force, I think Torkoal faints and we just lose the game. So, even though we ended up winning this, it's not like I had... Once again, the problem is that like Trick Room still went up. So, it's an example of how you can maybe play yourself out of a bad matchup, but it still relies on your opponent making maybe suboptimal plays as opposed to you just commanding the game right from the start. And so that's scary. And yeah, so I would say, you know, if you're building a team for best of one on the ladder right now, it would be valuable to have a lot of anti-Trick Room stuff. Because, like, I just didn't, like, both of these matchups, I, like, had to work hard for it. But I'd say at least, you know, we were in positions to win where it's not, like, just an auto loss. That Moltres Rotom-H Gastrodon core with Ferret, that's just, like, a nasty combination. It's really, really strong. It seems really good. So props to my opponent for discovering that. I feel like, if anything... me not having any answers was just a testament to how well composed it was in that third game. So, yeah. Either way, interesting set of games, so thank you as always for watching. Glad we could at least get the Cinderace stuff off in that first game. Wish we could have gotten off a little bit more. In the fourth game, actually, Swampert Cinderace ended up being an okay lead, so maybe that's the way to play against Trick Room. Because had I led that in game 1, I would have just KO'd Dusclops turn 1 too. And I would have gotten Torkoal in safely, so yeah. I don't know. Maybe even against Indeedee, Dusclops, Hat Indeedee, like, it's still the way to go, because then you get a free switch in, and Cinderace applies a lot of pressure. So maybe that's how, that's probably the best way to approach the Trick Room matchup, without having to make, like, those predictions on turn 1. Yeah. And if they lead incorrectly, like how game 2 ended up being, you could just punish them super, super hard. So yeah, that's it for this one. Thank you so much as always for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you all next time. Alright, peace.